If you are over 60 and you still love to travel, this one is for you. You have earned the right to see somewhere beautiful, and you have also earned the right to not get blindsided when you get there. Here is what almost nobody tells you before you book. Right now, the United States government has an official safety warning posted on many of the most popular vacation spots Americans fly to every year. The sunny beaches, the cruise stops, the bucket list islands. The brochures will never show you that warning. The travel agent may not mention it. But it is there, it is free to read, and it can change where you decide to go. So here are 15 popular destinations the government is warning Americans about in 2026. The exact warning level each one carries and why, and the honest truth about which parts are perfectly safe and which parts you truly want to avoid. This is not about scaring you out of traveling. It is about traveling smart. Stay to the end, because the #1 spot on this list is a place cruise ships still visit, and the government's warning on it is as serious as they get. Let's get into it. First, how the warnings actually work. Before we count down, you need to understand the system, because it takes 30 seconds and it makes every warning on this list clear. The State Department rates every country in the world on a scale of 1 to 4. Level 1 means exercise normal caution. The country is generally safe. Level 2 means exercise increased caution. Be more alert than usual. Level 3 means reconsider travel. There are serious risks, and you should think hard before going. And Level 4, the highest, means do not travel. The government is telling you plainly that a place is dangerous enough that they may not be able to help you if something goes wrong. The part that matters most is the honest nuance almost no scary travel video will give you. These levels are not always the whole country. A nation can be perfectly calm in its tourist areas and a genuine war zone 200 miles away. So the goal is never just to see a number and panic. It is to know the number and know exactly which part of the place it applies to. Keep that in mind, because it is the difference between a ruined trip and a smart one. Let's start the countdown. Number 15, the Bahamas. Start with one that shocks people, because the Bahamas feels like the safest, easiest tropical getaway there is. The Bahamas currently carries an active government caution over crime, one step up from routine. And the government gets specific about where. The warning centers on the 2 most visited islands, New Providence, which is Nassau, and Grand Bahama, which is Freeport, where most of the crime occurs. There is one detail in the official guidance worth hearing word for word. Travelers are warned to be especially vigilant at short-term vacation rental properties that do not have private security on site, because those have been the scene of incidents. So the Bahamas is not off limits, not even close. But the honest read is this. The resort areas and cruise ports are heavily secured and generally fine. The risk climbs when you rent a private place off the beaten path without security or wander outside the tourist zones at night. Where this leaves you. Enjoy the Bahamas, but favor a secured resort or cruise excursion over an isolated rental, and do not go wandering unfamiliar neighborhoods after dark. That single choice removes most of the risk the warning is about. This next one caught even seasoned travelers off guard, because the warning on it is brand new. Number 14, Turks and Caicos. This one matters because the warning is brand new, so a lot of returning visitors do not know about it yet. Turks and Caicos, one of the most popular luxury beach destinations in the Caribbean, had its government warning raised in 2026. The change followed a series of crime incidents serious enough that local authorities had to review how they police the tourism areas. The islands are still fully open, the resorts are operating normally, and tourism is running as usual. But that raised warning is the government's way of saying, pay closer attention to your surroundings than you would have needed to a couple of years ago. Where this leaves you. Turks and Caicos remains a beautiful and largely safe trip, especially within the resort zones. Just treat it like the current advisory suggests. Stay aware, secure your valuables, and follow local guidance, rather than assuming it is the same worry-free paradise it was before the crime uptick. Now to the all-inclusive capital of the Caribbean, where the danger is not what you would expect. Number 13, the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic draws millions of Americans to its all-inclusive resorts, and the warning here is less about violence and more about your wallet. The advisory guidance for the Dominican Republic centers heavily on theft and scams, particularly in crowded locations and during taxi rides. This is the pickpocket and hustle category of risk more than the serious crime category, but it catches tourists constantly, especially at busy markets, transit points, and in unofficial taxis that overcharge or worse. Where this leaves you. The all-inclusive resorts are their own secured world and are generally fine. The smart moves are simple. Use only official, resort-arranged, or clearly licensed transportation. Never flash cash or expensive jewelry in crowded areas, and keep your valuables in the room safe. Do that, and the Dominican Republic is a perfectly enjoyable trip. The warning is really about staying sharp outside the resort gates. The next place surprises almost everyone because it is the one people pick specifically to feel safe. Number 12. Grenada. Grenada is an emerging nature tourism destination, the kind of quieter, greener island that travelers pick precisely to avoid the crowds. And it now carries safety guidance too. The advisory for Grenada focuses on general safety awareness, especially for people traveling independently rather than on a packaged tour. It is not a high alarm warning like some others on this list. It is the government noting that as more independent travelers venture into less developed areas, basic precautions matter more. Where this leaves you. Grenada is one of the safer entries here, and the guidance reflects that. If you go with a reputable tour operator or stick to established areas, you are in good shape. The caution is mainly for the solo, off-the-map explorer, and at our age, going with an organized, reputable operator is the smarter and more comfortable way to see a place like this anyway. From here, the warnings climb into more serious territory. Number 11. The beach towns of Costa Rica. Costa Rica markets itself as the safe, eco-friendly paradise of Central America, and much of it lives up to that. But the honest picture includes a rising theft problem aimed squarely at tourists. Recent 2026 travel guidance flags theft as the real and growing concern in Costa Rica, particularly targeting visitors, with break-ins to rental cars at trailheads and beaches, and petty theft in tourist areas being the most common complaints. Violent crime against tourists is much less the issue than the steady, opportunistic stealing of anything left unattended. Where this leaves you. Costa Rica is still a wonderful and largely safe destination. The rule is simple, and it solves most of it. Never leave anything visible in a parked rental car, not for a minute, and do not bring valuables to the beach. Lock things in the resort safe. The country's beauty is real. So is the car break-in problem, and it is almost entirely avoidable. Now, before the top 10 climb into the serious warnings, do me one quick favor. If this honest, no-panic breakdown is helping you plan safer, tap subscribe. I pull the actual government advisories so you always know the real risk before you book, not after you land. That is the whole channel. All right, back to the countdown. Number 10. Brazil. Brazil offers some of the most spectacular scenery and cities in the world, and it also carries a government caution driven by urban crime. The concern in Brazil concentrates in the big cities, where street crime, robbery, and theft are common enough that the government urges increased caution. The famous spots, the beaches of Rio, the sights, draw the crowds, and the crowds draw the pickpockets and worse. Certain neighborhoods carry far higher risk than the tourist strips. Where this leaves you. Brazil rewards the prepared traveler and punishes the careless one. Stick to well-known tourist areas. Use arranged transportation rather than hailing rides on the street. Leave the expensive watch at home, and do not venture into unfamiliar neighborhoods, especially at night. Within those lines, Brazil is a bucket list trip. Outside them, it earns its warning. This next favorite carries a heavier warning than almost any visitor expects. Number 9. Trinidad and Tobago. This twin island nation is a Caribbean favorite, especially for its culture and carnival, and it carries a heightened advisory that many visitors do not expect. Trinidad and Tobago has drawn a reconsider travel level of concern in its guidance, tied to crime, including violent crime in certain areas. Like most places on this list, the risk is not spread evenly, and the tourist and resort areas are far safer than specific higher crime districts. Where this leaves you. If you are drawn by carnival or the culture, go informed. Stay in established tourist accommodations, avoid the flagged high crime areas entirely, keep a low profile with valuables, and lean on local guidance from your hotel about where not to go. The islands have real beauty and warmth, but this is one where the government's caution deserves genuine respect. Now one of the most beautiful countries in South America, and one of the most misunderstood. Number 8. Colombia. Colombia has transformed its image over the years and draws more tourists every season. But the United States still places it under one of its more serious warnings, urging travelers to reconsider. That warning is serious. It reflects ongoing concerns about crime and, in certain regions, more organized dangers. As always, this is deeply regional. The popular, revitalized tourist areas of cities like Cartagena and Medellin operate very differently from remote regions the government warns against entirely. Where this leaves you. Many people do visit Colombia's main tourist cities safely every year, but that serious a warning is a real signal to plan carefully. Stay strictly within the established tourist zones. Use vetted local guides and transportation. Avoid displaying wealth. Steer completely clear of the rural regions under the heaviest warnings, and be cautious with new acquaintances and unfamiliar areas. This is a place where the difference between the safe part and the dangerous part is stark, and knowing which is everything. The final stretch is where the warnings turn truly serious. Number 7. Parts of Mexico. Mexico is the single most visited foreign destination for Americans, and it is the perfect example of why a single warning level can be dangerously misleading. The crucial truth about Mexico is this. The tourist corridors, Cancun, the Riviera Maya, Los Cabos, are generally rated at the lower caution levels and draw millions safely. But specific Mexican states carry the government's highest do not travel warning, the same tier it uses for active war zones, because of cartel violence. States like Sinaloa and Colima sit at that top level. The safety of Mexico can genuinely change the moment you cross a state line. Where this leaves you. This is the most important single lesson in this whole video. Do not think about Mexico as one country with one safety level. Before any trip, look up the specific state you are visiting, because the resort you are booking might be in a perfectly safe zone, while a top-level cartel violence state sits just a few hours away. Stay in the established tourist zones, use resort and airport-arranged transport, and do not go exploring into the flagged states. Cancun is not Sinaloa, and the government's map is the only way to know the difference. This next one stops people cold, because most do not realize it is now essentially off-limits. Number 6. Venezuela. Venezuela was once a stunning destination, with Caribbean coastline and the world's tallest waterfall. Today, the United States rates it at its highest warning: do not travel. The reasons are severe and stacked. Crime, civil unrest, poor health infrastructure, wrongful detention, and a U.S. government whose ability to help American citizens there is severely limited. That top-level warning is not a caution. It is the government telling you plainly not to go for any reason. Where this leaves you. This is a clear one. Venezuela is not a destination for American tourists right now. Full stop. Its natural beauty is real, but the Level 4 warning exists because the risks are genuine and the safety net is gone. Save it for a future that may not arrive for years, and choose a stable destination instead. Now a Caribbean island millions still picture as an easy, breezy vacation. Number 5. Jamaica. Jamaica is one of the most iconic Caribbean destinations there is, a staple of honeymoons, cruises, and beach getaways, and it now carries one of the government's more serious warnings, urging travelers to reconsider. That serious a warning is notable because Jamaica is so mainstream. The warning is driven by violent crime, which the guidance notes is common in certain areas, along with concerns that emergency and medical services can be inconsistent outside the main tourist zones. The all-inclusive resort areas remain heavily secured and are where the vast majority of visitors stay safely. The elevated risk is concentrated in specific urban and non-tourist areas. Where this leaves you. Enormous numbers of people still enjoy Jamaica safely every year, almost entirely by staying within the secured resort and cruise environments. If you go, the honest guidance is to stay on the resort or on organized excursions. Avoid independent trips into non-tourist neighborhoods and take that serious warning seriously enough to not wander. The beauty is real, so is the reason for the warning. These last few are the most serious places on the entire list. Number 4. The flagged regions beyond the resorts. Before the final 3 specific places, here's the pattern that ties this whole list together, because it is the real danger most tourists actually face. Across almost every destination on this list, the deadly mistake is the same. It is not booking the country, it is leaving the secured zone. Time and again, the incidents behind these warnings happened to tourists who wandered outside the resort, took an unofficial taxi, explored an unfamiliar neighborhood, or drove into a region the advisory specifically flagged. The resorts and cruise ports are secured bubbles for a reason, and they generally work. The danger lives in the gap between that bubble and the parts of the country the government has marked in red. Where this leaves you. Whatever destination you choose, the single most protective habit is to know exactly where the safe zone ends. Read the advisory, note the specific regions and neighborhoods flagged, and simply do not go into them. That one discipline prevents the large majority of everything these warnings are about. This next one is a do not travel nation that people still, somehow, book right up against. Number 3. The do not travel countries on the cruise map. Some of the most serious warnings in the world sit surprisingly close to routes and regions travelers do book. The State Department currently lists more than 20 countries at its highest do not travel warning, including places like Haiti in the Caribbean and conflict zones across the Middle East and Africa, such as Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Libya, and Afghanistan. The point for a traveler is not that you are planning a trip to a war zone. It is that some of these, Haiti especially, sit right in a region full of popular cruise and beach itineraries, and conditions there can affect nearby travel, routing, and regional stability. Where this leaves you. Always check whether any stop, connection, or nearby region on your itinerary touches a do not travel country. You are not likely to book Syria, but you might book a Caribbean route that passes near Haiti, or a trip routed through a region under heightened alert, and knowing that in advance lets you plan around it. And now the most serious Caribbean warning of them all. Number 2. Haiti. Haiti earns its own spot because it is a Caribbean nation, geographically in the middle of the vacation region, and it is rated do not travel at the most serious end of the government's scale. The warning is driven by gang violence, kidnapping, civil unrest, and a near-total breakdown of security in large areas, with the U.S. government's ability to assist citizens there severely limited. This is not a nuanced safe part versus dangerous part situation, like the beach destinations earlier. This is a blanket, unambiguous do not go from the United States government. Where this leaves you. Haiti is not a destination for American travelers right now, and it is important to know because of its Caribbean location. If any itinerary, cruise or otherwise, involves Haiti, take that warning as absolute. The country's history and culture are rich, but the current reality is exactly what a do not travel warning describes. And now, the most important takeaway of all, which is worth more than any single place on this list. Number 1. The one free tool that tells you the truth before you book. Here is the single most valuable thing in this entire video, and it costs you nothing. Every warning I just covered and the exact up-to-the-day status of any place you are thinking of visiting is published free by the United States government at one website, travel. You type in the country and it shows you the current advisory level, the specific regions that are more dangerous than others, the exact reasons, and practical safety steps. It is the same primary source the news reports pull from, except you are reading it straight, with no one between you and the facts. So here is your habit from now on. Before you book any trip abroad, go to travel. Look up your destination and read not just the number, but the regional detail. Because as you have seen all through this list, a country can be safe where you are going and dangerous a state away. Enroll in the free STEP program while you are there, the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, which sends you real-time alerts and helps the government reach you in an emergency. Do that one thing, and you will never again walk into a destination blind the way the brochures want you to. You can still see the world. You just get to see it with your eyes open. If this helped you plan a safer trip, subscribe, and I will keep reading the real government warnings so you always know the truth before you go.